we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about tomorrow. Welcome everybody at YouTube. We are here at the Alexa Theater, about ready to do an interview. It should be a blast. So, are we live? Are we going live?
We're live.
On theirs?
I am ready.
Okay, go ahead and let me know when we're live, and then we will officially start. Okay. Well, welcome to all of our digital attendees. We are here at the Alexa Theater, and thank you for joining me for a quick interview.
My pleasure.
So, why don't you introduce yourself and applause and tell your audience and our audience who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is Emerson Sklar. I'm a technical evangelist and the director of voice solutions for Applause, who are the founders and global leaders in crowdsourced testing. Applause has been around for about a dozen years. We have a global, ranked, rated, vetted community of over 400,000 professionals representing virtually every device, demographic, geographic, psychographic criteria that your real customers represent. We can create customized communities and leverage them to provide a wide range of services, everything from very qualitative feedback on particular digital experiences, all the way to the much more objective, typical types of testing activities. We can do this in a matter of minutes, hours, and days instead of a matter of days and weeks, enabling you to move, especially in this voice-connected world, enabling you to move at the speed of sound.
Yeah, that's great. And you did a talk yesterday.
I
You were one of the
did.
speakers.
I did.
Tell us a bit about that. What was the topic? How did it go? And just tell us a bit about the subject.
Sure.
of it.
Sure, so we work with the biggest and brightest brands across traditional web and mobile, and now in the voice space as well, helping them to optimize their digital experiences. So my discussion yesterday was about some of the challenges that I see working with some of these brands, and ways to solve some of these kind of voice-specific challenges. We feel very strongly, Applause has been around for quite some time, feel very strongly that the traditional approach to testing really doesn't fit in this voice-first world. So we have worked with Amazon, have worked with Google, worked with many of the world's largest companies to try and codify what would those best practices be. What is the right way to approach quality in this new world?
Yeah, that's great. And so what are you looking forward to today and tomorrow as this event? We're kind of midway in the event. Like, what are you most looking forward to? You have an amazing exhibit here in the exhibit hall. You're one of the speakers. So you're one of the heroes everybody came to listen to. There's a lot of other amazing speakers, almost 500 attendees. Like, what are you and your team looking forward to as this continues to progress?
Sure, so it's always nice to see the investment and the growth that the market is bearing today. It's nice to see how much larger and more exciting the conference has become, even in just one short year. I think I'm personally most excited to see some of the new advancements and kind of predictions that other industry leaders are seeing. I think it's a rapidly changing marketplace. Even customer perception is changing on virtually a week-to-week basis with regards to this technology. So it's good. It's pretty exciting to see what other people think is coming down the pike.
Yeah. Tell me about the team. You have a pretty big team here.
We do.
I know you have a huge company. You have a lot of people on staff. So maybe tell us about how large your company is and then who you actually brought with you.
Sure. We have about 450 employees worldwide. Our North American headquarters is in Boston. We have offices in Seattle, Berlin, Tel Aviv, Warsaw, and again, we have a globally distributed community of hundreds of thousands of professional testers. All
kind of
over
crowdsourcing QA.
Exactly.
It's brilliant. And you were the first to do that.
We were the founders of this notion of in the wild crowdsourced quality.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, well, why don't we talk a bit about the near future? There's another handful of voice conferences that are coming up.
Certainly.
That Bradley and his team are doing. So I'll pull those up on the screen so we can kind of talk to them. So the next one that's coming up on the West Coast, where you and I both live, Manhattan Beach and the San Francisco Bay Area, April 9th, the voice of the car. So maybe, have you guys done any testing with automotive voice tech? Talk to us a bit about that.
Sure, absolutely. We work with, I think, 7 of the 10 largest international auto manufacturers, testing their in-car experiences, testing in some cases the performance of these automobiles, and we work with many of the kind of forward thinkers in the auto industry to see how they're going to integrate voice technology. We do everything, again, from actual pure testing to more trying to figure out what the customer experience is like, what that end-to-end experience is, and find a wide range of really interesting, again, sort of unique phenomenon. One piece of which everybody has, sometimes you have challenges with your infotainment system, the built-in apps may not work, and in the traditional GUI-driven world, if the app doesn't work, you kind of brush it off and don't really think too much about it. We've done tightly controlled, moderated usability studies where we found that in the automotive world, it actually negatively impacts your perception of the value of your automobile, and then negatively impacts your capabilities and your capacity as a driver. That you actually internalize a lot of those concerns when someone is speaking back to you and vocally telling you that the command didn't work, that you said it properly.
Yeah, there's some really interesting stats yesterday that Brett shared. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this event. It's close to home for me. It's going to be very, very easy to be a part of. Another event that's coming up is the Voice of Hospitality. So this is restaurants, hotels. Marriott's going to be a big part of this. So is Domino's. So talk to me a bit. Have you guys worked in the hospitality space? Do you want to? What kind of value do you provide to the folks that are going to be a part of this upcoming event?
Sure. Yeah, we do a tremendous amount of work, especially in quick service restaurants and hospitality. We worked with Shake Shack to optimize their in-app and in advance purchasing capabilities, actually enabled them to drastically increase the throughput of every Shake Shack location by ensuring that not only are customers able to successfully create purchases, successfully pick up those items, but that actually the back of the house, that the infrastructure that they need to support this rapidly increasing load is successful, that those individual locations are capable of handling hundreds of extra people at their rush hours.
Right. And then another one that's coming up is the Health Summit, and that's in August in Harvard. So I imagine that you probably do quite a bit of work in the health space. Mayo Clinic is here. I had a great conversation with their leadership team this morning, and there's a ton of people in the health space that are pushing forward, not just in voice, but in deep tech in general. So talk to us a bit about kind of you navigating that spot.
Sure, and absolutely, that is something that that I personally and that Applause is very passionate about. I had an opportunity to do a keynote at the Voice.Health Summit in Boston this previous year. And so again, leveraging that same global community, finding people who have potentially physical or cognitive disabilities, leveraging them to ensure that your digital experiences are meaningful is a perfect and really novel use of this global crowd that we have.
That's great. And then the final one that is coming up is the Voice of Banking Summit. Of course, there'll be many more.
Sure.
There's the Voice conference in June over in Newark, which will be amazing. I'm working on one for blockchain and voice. But let's just talk about this as kind of the next one that Bradley's putting on, banking. So you working with financial institutions, fintech companies coming to you around their deep tech, their mobile development, their voice development. Talk to us a bit about that.
Sure, absolutely. So again, leveraging those same tightly controlled demographic profiles, finding people who are members of different financial institutions, potentially people who are even agents or representatives of those financial institutions. It is something that is so sensitive and so important to people that the importance, the significance of getting it right the first time cannot be understated. So we work with, I think, 9 of the 10 largest banks in the United States and internationally. Again, trying to make sure with their real customers, or their real competitors' customers, their prospective customers, is it something that is compelling within the market? Is it something that someone will actually subscribe to, that they'll actually deposit their funds with?
That's great. If somebody wants to get a hold of Applause, your organization, what's the best way to do that? And what is the experience like for a prospect that's interested? Like, what is the way that you navigate them through to become one of your clients that trust you as a vendor?
Sure. To find us, you can go to Applause, www.applause.com. Very easy to reach out. There are forms there that you can contact, and someone would reach back out to you pretty quickly.
Great.
Most of our customers start with a pilot. People want to see what our process is like, want to see what their process is like. We at Applause want to make sure, even though we know what the best practices are, we don't want to force organizations to fit our processes. We want to be able to fit theirs. So we run every project as a fully managed white glove service. We have solution delivery teams, again, all over the world that are there to act as an extension of teams and make sure that they can run at the speed of sound or run at the speed of light. In terms of kind of familiarization, that during initial interaction, during initial conversations, again, as part of that pilot, we assign solution consultants, solution architects who really, again, deep dive into your processes to make sure that we're making the best proactive recommendations.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, let's transition to the final question, which is about tomorrow.
Sure.
Or as far out as you can imagine. So, we could start with what's Voice 2024 look like? What is Applause doing 5 years from now? What are your peers, your collaborators, the other folks that are complementing this industry? You could call them competitors. I don't think they exist in the voice industry yet. It's too early. But what are you guys doing, and what is the industry in general doing, when you project out that far?
Sure.
What's it look like in your
So
mind?
I think we will see a pretty significant adoption in the enterprise space, in the B2C space. Alexa for Business has not gotten, I think, as widespread adoption as we had anticipated at this stage yet, but the numbers are just so incredibly compelling that I think once organizations get a little more comfortable with developing voice experiences, when they get a little more expertise and have demonstrated the value of it for their customers, I think it's a no-brainer for them to do it for their own internal employees.
Right.
In terms of applause, we have seen the voice side of the business grow exponentially over the last just 2 years, but even the last year. I think that will continue just as the market is. I think it will continue to be a greater and greater piece of our business. I think that as it proliferates across every aspect of our lives.
Yeah. Who have you heard? Because you probably spend a lot of time at conferences. You're the technology evangelist or technical evangelist at Applause. What people or person have you heard talk about the future? You're like, man, they get it. Like I want us to be running after that. I want that to manifest itself into reality. What type of things have you, taken in and really connected with?
Well, so we spend a lot of time working with the guys over at Bespoken. I'm not sure if you've spoken to them,
of course.
John Kelvy and his team.
Yeah.
And John has been in the voice space for decades.
Right.
And he has some extremely well-informed, really forward-thinking views about what the future is. Every time I work with him, learn new things about the industry that I have no idea.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for taking time.
Yeah, my
to let me
pleasure.
do an interview.
My pleasure.
Thank you to the Applause community. We enjoyed having you join us, and to everybody at Voice First FM. We'll be back with another interview shortly.
Great. Thanks.
And hello, internet people. I'll be back in a moment, and just documenting the experience of interviewing 15 people this morning. It's a blast.